What's a good word, everyone? It's your boy DKB here. I just want to say thanks for all the support. The channel's been steadily growing, and the number you see below, you can drop a text, shoot a voicemail, any ideas, topics, collabs, etc. you guys want to see. I'll include them in future videos and live streams, and I'll catch you again. Be easy. What's the good word, Jets fans? It's your boy DKB here. We're breaking down our fifth prospect from Steve Smith Sr.'s top 10 wide receiver ranking. And this was honestly a fantastic tape watching because Jalen Royals is a surprise guy that I think definitely has wide receiver one potential, but it's packaged in a frame that you wouldn't necessarily expect. Not a guy that's overly freakish, not a guy that's overly big, but he definitely plays bigger than his size. 6 foot, 205 pounds. You would definitely feel like you're playing a 6'2", 220-ish pound guy at certain times based on just how he moves, style of play, different things like that. But he doesn't even bring a pedigree with him realistically. This is a former undrafted wide receiver. He got to Utah State after spending time at Georgia Military College, a JUCO school, and this was based off an interesting workout with Utah State that was held where he reportedly ran a 4.34, something along those lines. And they ended up offering him a scholarship pretty much right after. And he stayed loyal to them. There were some rumors out there that he was offered upwards of $700,000 to transfer schools and go in the portal. But he decided to remain loyal to the school that took a chance on him after leaving the JUCO ranks. So once he got there, took him a little bit to continue to develop, a little bit to continue to adjust. But by his junior year and definitely his senior year, he was leading the team. In fact, he was second in the FBS in 2023 with a school record 15 receiving touchdowns. And this was only beaten by Brian Thomas, who I want to say had 18 touchdowns in 2023. But nonetheless, a huge breakout year for him where he got to see all, I believe, Mountain West Conference accolades in back-to-back years, which says a lot. Because his senior year, he put up 55 catches for 834 yards and 6 touchdowns, which is respectable on the surface. But he missed about half the year with a significant foot injury that ended up calling his senior year a wraps early. And he was on a tear. Last 4 games, over 100-plus yards apiece. Had a monstrous game against Boise State. Multiple games where he had double-digit receptions his senior year. So the light, it didn't just flicker, right? It started to basically explode with how it seemed like things were starting to turn on and click for him, and I love it. The speed is a little bit intriguing to me, though, because from an testing standpoint, there's some things that would speak to him potentially living up to that. But on game film, it's not like you necessarily see him just pulling away from guys with extreme ease like you would a Tyreek Hill or somebody of that, ilk. But it's definitely above average. It's definitely, I think, has a lot to do with maybe his track background, where you see kind of the long strides, a little bit of some build-up speed, but once he gets into that second gear, he's a goner. So some things that speak to his ability to maybe run up to that pace is his 10-yard split. It was a 1.49, demonstrates some hidden athleticism, right? Or maybe another level to what we're seeing, and that would have been 92nd percentile. So 4.32, that's what it was. He was reported to run a 4.32 at Utah State's elite camp. Also has a basketball background. Even with the track, though, it wasn't necessarily as a runner. It was as a high jumper. And you see a lot of evidence of that in how he positions himself, the willingness and ability for him to fight for a lot of these jump balls where he's going to be catching in traffic. And I think he rated as having a 64.1% catch in traffic rate. So definitely love a lot about him. Not only that, he was able to recover fairly quickly from that foot injury as well to be one of the Senior Bowl standouts during the week of practices. And this is a guy that I don't think you've really seen not only the best of what he can do. I don't even think the monster numbers that he was able to put up his junior year and what was looking to be a strong follow-up senior year is even reminiscent of what he possibly can do, because he's had to play through 5 different quarterbacks. What does that sound like? A situation that the New York Jets have found themselves in more often than not. So from a mentality standpoint, from an experience standpoint, from a scheme set standpoint with how he was utilized, This could be a guy that's kind of the perfect scheme fit for Tanner Engstrand and what Aaron Glenn may be looking to do here, because he fits into a couple, but I think we'll be seeing strong elements of all of these from teams like the Lions, the Ravens, now that we have a Justin Fields caliber quarterback, and you can even argue a team like the 49ers, for example, where he'll be a movable chess piece, he'll stretch the field vertically, and then he's going to work a lot of those catch and run concepts underneath, where he'll have the opportunity to just find the space, make the ball, and then turn into that runner and show what his yards after catch ability will end up looking like. Some things about his tape that I really liked. He has a pretty acute awareness of where defenders are positioned to adjust to routes, and he'll maximize contested catch positioning and leverage, right? This is a guy that when you look at him, it's a dogfight for every contested catch. This guy, if the ball is in the air, he's looking to be the first one to be aggressive at the point of contact. He's looking to be the first one in the air. He's looking to make sure he can secure it, get the grips on there, and then, it's night-night for the defender after that, whether it's just securing the catch or then also being able to get back into those strides and keep things moving. He knows how to disguise his routes with different wrinkles, which is interesting because he really only has a year and a half of experience playing wide receiver. Didn't put up ridiculous numbers coming out of high school, was seldom utilized at the Georgia Military Academy or Georgia Military College. And then even the first year that he joined Utah State, he wasn't heavily involved. It really wasn't until his junior year that he was used in a major way and then also broke out in a major way. So to see that he already has some nuance in how he's setting defenders up and how he's going about making sure that he can give the same initial look and slightly switch things up to keep defenders on their toes is pretty impressive. He can catch and stride without losing much speed, and I think this is where you see a lot of that basketball background come into play, where constant motion, constant having to cut with explosiveness, different things of that. And I won't even say that his cuts are explosive or they're kind of eye-popping, but just the fact that he can keep full speed for the most part into those transitions is impressive. Maintain speed throughout his transition, and this is from when you see him catching the ball to when he transitions into being a runner, which is why you see a lot of those big plays happening, and he's consistently making the first man miss more often than not. Knows how to identify openings, those soft spots within the zone, getting behind that first, second level of defense. And honestly, this is just a player that's on a rise. Between the general lack of experience, how quickly he's been able to make these developmental strides and then turn these into meaningful production on the field is huge. And he's young, right? I believe he's going to be 22, maybe turning 23 at some point in his rookie year. This is a guy that I would be all over if he's there, potentially early day 4, for example. Some of the things that are concerning. The burst is lacking, which will mitigate, creating a lot of those friendly quarterback, open windows, right? If you have a QB who needs to see it in order to make the throw as opposed to playing with anticipation, Jalen Royals might be a little bit more of a project when it comes to building that chemistry. But all in all, he's also going to have some struggles when it comes to beating press. I feel like this is a pretty common trend as well. Another guy that kind of got hidden in between bunch formations, being put in motion, being able to make him, that off-ball wide receiver, the guy coming out of the slot. So he'll need some work to do there, and when you couple that with some of his other struggles, like needing to improve his hand fighting and also just dictating being more aggressive at the line of scrimmage and finding a way to just, occasionally slap some of these guys off of you when necessary, all of that's going to come into play. And a lot of that happens to be because he's coming from a group of 5 competition level, so you like to see more examples of where he's been able to dominate better competition. The Senior Bowl was a good look at that, and then of course some of his strong numbers that he showed out during Combine helps out there. He suffers in run blocking, though, and this is another theme so far out of these wide receivers. Not only is it due to a lack of play strength, but improper technique as well. Way too often he's on the ground. Way too often it looks like a guy can just really shoulder shrug him and get him out of the way to try to make a play on the ball. And there are going to be a couple issues where you see some second level focus drops, right? Coming across the field, linebacker looking to barrel down on you, or a safety, and he's looking to transition into becoming that runner before he really catches the ball and secures things. But when you look at him, and one of the things I want to get a little bit better at doing here is when we talk about some of these pro comps, keep in mind, these aren't mine per se in many cases, but from what I see, I like to kind of show that progression level, right? I talked about like a Pokemon level-esque comparison of this before when talking about some of the other players, but I like that idea. Here's where a guy is at now. Here's where he's come from per se, and here's where he can go type situation. And three of the names I really, really like. Jaden Reed as essentially having a similar kind of background, similar physical build and such, but he's playing, a slightly bit taller, 15 to 20-ish pounds heavier. James Washington, who had a lot of the same, concepts that he was running, right? Being on one side of the field, coming out of bunch formations, seeing a lot of success on things like tunnel screens and a lot of those, open zone kind of concept passing techniques. And then DJ Moore, from a physical profile when it comes to what he can offer from a speed, size, athleticism standpoint, he would obviously be the elite level of what you're looking at a guy like Jalen Royals could become. But I get really excited about this guy. I think more than I really expected, considering some of the drawbacks, considering the overall lack of experience. But I think this is one of those guys where regardless of what program they're coming from, kind of like Aaron Glenn said, if he's a baller, we'll find him. And I think this is one of the guys that definitely can step onto the field and be a baller right away, which, as we wrap up here, not to forget, I would say he offers some level of inside-out versatility, which always helps, right? You want to be able to line these guys up whenever and wherever, ideally. But let me know what you guys think. I think this is one of the more underrated names where there's it's like Ted McMillan and I guess now Golden at the top, and then there's a number of guys in the middle, which Jalen Royals is in that category for me, but it feels like I never really hear his name spoken. So let me know what you guys think. What about the fit with the Jets? What do you like about the player? I'll catch you guys again. Peace.